Hey everyone, for those of you that don't know me, my name is JB from The American Driver. I'm a third generation driver and have been an advocate for drivers' rights for many years. For the last few years, I've been working on finding a solution to an ever-growing problem where drivers are not getting paid in full for the services that we provide. Many years ago, a driver could file a legitimate complaint with the Interstate Commerce Commission, and if they ruled in favor of that driver, the ICC would order that all monies due be paid in full within 30 days, or that company or broker would have their business license suspended. Some of you drivers may even remember a time when companies and brokers were actually held legally accountable for their actions to a driver that was owed money. Then on December 29, 1995, former President Bill Clinton signed legislation that terminated the 108-year-old Interstate Commerce Act of 1887 that created the first true federal regulatory agency that addressed abuse, discrimination, and monitored transportation business operations. Now, ever since the ICC was disbanded, some companies and a lot of brokers have been taking advantage of this vacuum within the law. And with each passing year, the lack of legal accountability has grown into this monster where more drivers' pay is being stolen. In some cases, brokers have decided that they now have the right to negotiate the time detention starts and how much per hour drivers will be paid for excessive time that they are delayed, even after arriving on time to their scheduled appointments at either the shipper's or the receiver's locations. This is all due to the fact that truck drivers are exempt from the Fair Standards Labor Act of 1938 and that the ICC was disbanded. We as drivers either accept the company's pay when we're hired, agree to a company's pay that we are leased on with, or we set our own rates that we charge when these conditions happen. For those drivers that set their own rates, if the company or broker doesn't like them, they have options to either pay you, try to renegotiate them with you, or pay you and never hire you again. But either way, make no mistake, they are obligated to pay us, unless a specific rate is agreed upon prior to the rate confirmation being accepted for that load. So, after taking some time to understand how the dynamics of today's transportation system works, I've done some research to find an answer that could possibly help all of us collect our money without the hassle of phone call after phone call that leads to arguing with different people, which does nothing except add more stress and anxiety on top of everything else that already raises our blood pressure. As well, it does not take time away from our jobs to do these things so that we can continue to make money for our families. This is why I've made this video, to show you that the answer I've found is simple. This can be the help that all of us drivers need to get paid in full for pulling a load, extra stops, partial or full payment for any detention owed after the industry standard of 2 hours after, from the beginning of our appointment time, or we can affect the ability of these companies or brokers to continue doing business. The answer that I have found is to hire a collection agency to collect that debt for you. Companies and brokers work within a credit rating system. And even if a one-truck company hires a collection agency to collect on a debt, no matter how old that debt is, you can renew the collection effort by sending that company or broker a new past due invoice with a specific note on it that states balance due 3 days from receipt of this notice. If the balance is not paid within those 3 days, send copies of the invoices and your logs to the collection agency. The collection agency then sends their billing notice. If the company or broker does not pay within the first 30 days of receiving their notice, the collection agency reports this debt to the credit bureaus, which now begins to affect their credit score. These new debts show up on the credit report that is pulled up once a month by all the major shipping companies, factoring companies, logistics companies, insurance companies, and even load boards that use these companies or brokers. And for every single debt, there is a different collection notice. So it is possible for that one truck company to affect a single multi-million-dollar company or a broker for each and every debt that is owed, which will show up as multiple debts on their credit score that will affect their credit rating. So when that company or broker gets these debts filed with the credit bureau against them, they will then fall into what's known as a high-risk category. This will begin to affect the amount of loads they are eligible to cover. It will affect their contracted accounts, and as well, it will affect the cost of their surety bonds. So in the long run, if enough of us send in our debts, and these companies or brokers are dinged on their credit ratings, they will then see that the only way to fix this problem is to either go out of business or pay us. Either way, we get closure from this. At first, finding a collection agency that would take on these types of debts turned out to be challenging. For many years, I made lots of calls and spoke with lots of agents. Not one collection agency was willing to take this on. And because I refused to give up fighting this monster that continues to steal from our families, I finally found the answer that I was looking for. So let me introduce to you the collection agency that wants to help each and every one of us get back what is rightfully ours. And that is HF Holdings Incorporated in Orlando, Florida. Here's their information. I hope y'all got that. They are a financial institute that collects on debts with ethics, integrity, and results. But the best part is they pride themselves on the fact that if they do not collect any money on that debt, then you do not pay 1 penny. So with the information regarding this collection agency that I am sharing with you, all you have to do is send in one more past due invoice, as I've described, and then either call Mr. Mike Baxter or send him an email to introduce yourself and let him know about your debt. But please make sure to tell him that you heard about this from me, from JB, the American driver, so he will know exactly what to do. Also, if you have any questions you would like to ask me directly, please feel free to send them to my email address, theamericandriver@yahoo.com. And I will respond to them as quickly as I can. So thank you. Be safe and God bless.